like and subscribe,
please. So this week it's the women's turn to go on their dates. And the first one up is Jessica. Jessica wears this cute yellow and black cheetah print. The dress, I mean, if I were to wear it, I would need a little bit more fabric, but I love the color and I love the print. She looks amazing. And Eric's getting a little nervous, like, oh, I don't know if I'm for this. So there's a cute little scene where her date, Randon, comes to the door. Eric answers it, and he's like, excuse me, sorry, you have the wrong house, and slams the door in his face, right? But, overall, even though it's so awkward for the men and the women to meet their partner's dates, like, oh my gosh, this show is so awkward. But, Eric's cool, he handles it with a sense of humor. But one thing he does say is, like, cheating, that's a deal breaker for me. But, like, weren't you cheating during the beginning parts of the relationship? So, I don't know, men always have this double standard. Like, I was watching Too Hot to Handle the other day, and Marvin, oh my gosh, I don't want to give spoilers in case you guys didn't watch it, but Marvin, he was a guy in the show. It was like he could flirt with other women, but the one lady he was interested in, if she was flirting with other guys, he would get extremely jealous, and for him that would be like, oh, I'm done with you because you're talking to this guy and I don't like it, but yet he can go and do the same thing and it's okay. So there's always this double standard with men that I just find super annoying. Like, if you can go out and enjoy yourself, then why can't your partner do the same thing? Or at least, why is it a deal breaker when she does it, but when you do it, you want her to give you another chance? Like, that's totally unfair to me. So, whatever. Jessica goes on her date with Randon. I mean, I'm not really feeling Randon. Randon seems just like Eric in a way, that sort of playboy, fooling around with a lot of women. And Randon says he's never had a girlfriend before, and he's 32. And he didn't see the point of having a girlfriend because I guess he just wanted to sow his oats, have fun. And then when he's ready to settle down, he's ready to settle down. He doesn't want to have multiple women and all that jazz, which on one hand I understand, and appreciate, because if you're not serious about being in a relationship or being committed to someone, it's just best to be honest about it, right? Than giving somebody false hope. You don't want to be a Darien to an Lexia and be in a relationship for 14 years, but you're still not sure or still not serious. So I do appreciate the honesty in the way he has lived his life. But I'll be honest, on the other hand, it is kind of not a red flag, but I would be a little bit hesitant, because being in a relationship is not a passive thing, right? It takes hard work, it takes experience, it's a skill that you have to build. And if you're 32 years old and you've never been in a long-term relationship before, there's gonna be a lot of firsts, right? A relationship is not always this sort of glamorous, you live happily ever after. So I would just wonder, does he have the tools to be in a relationship, to make it work? It may not be what he thinks, it is, what he has built up in his mind. And is he able to handle that? Or is he just going to go back to his own ways when things get difficult or things don't exactly work out as he envisioned? So, I mean, I don't know. It depends on the person, right? I'm not saying that just because someone has never had a relationship that you shouldn't have anything to do with them. But the question is, has he done the work on himself, or has he just been fooling around and now all of a sudden he's ready for the right person? So, I don't really think he's going to be competition for Eric. So, Dr. Nicole sits down with LaRonda and Jay. And out of the three couples, I think LaRonda and Jay have the best chance of moving forward, because I really do like them as a couple. I love their body language. They really do seem like they care for each other, right? And so Dr. Nicole talks about their issue that they have with finances, more specifically with Jay feeling like, because he's in the entertainment business, right? His income is not consistent, right? He has to keep booking a job to keep getting money in, right? But if he doesn't book a job, he could potentially be in a situation where, in his eyes, he's a bum. Because he feels like, based on his own experiences, that the man is supposed to consistently provide, right? And be there to support the family. He essentially doesn't want to be like his father. But it was kind of confusing because he said that his father would give money, but it seemed to only be financial. He wasn't there emotionally, right? So, with that being said, it takes more than money to provide for a family, right? Yes, realistically, it does take finances, but it also takes emotional support as well, and being present. So, there are many different ways you can provide for your family, right? I do understand the sort of insecurity when you do not have consistent income coming in. And yes, for some women, they wouldn't want that, right? But LaRonda seems to be okay with it. She is fine with that. I think, like I said last time, when you're dating someone in entertainment, you know what it is, right? You know what it's going to be. And LaRonda seems to have a stable income, so she's not really worried about the finances. And maybe Jay provides other things for her that is more important than money. And that may not be for other women, but LaRonda seems to be okay with it, right? And for LaRonda wanting to plan out their finances and things like that, I think that's really important, especially when you don't have a stable income. You do have to plan in some sort of way, just in case there are periods or a time where you're not working, that you do have money saved. I think you even have to be more strategic. When you don't have a steady income, you have to be more strategic than if you are working a 9 to 5 where you're consistently getting a paycheck each week. You could sort of ease up. I still think you have to plan things out, but you kind of know, okay, maybe I can splurge this week because I know next week I'm going to get paid again. But he said he's a stand-up comedian. If you get paid for that and you get a lump sum payment, you don't know you're going to get that next week or the week after. So that's why you do have to be careful and plan. So he does need to get over that insecurity. I know it can be hard to face the reality of your finances. You don't want to deal with what it is because you don't want to feel bad about it. But not facing it will make it worse later on, because if facing it now gets you to save $50, you'll be grateful in the future for that $50 when you don't have work, right? That $50 could carry you that week versus, I don't want to see la 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 la, and then you spend up all your money, and then when you don't get paid, you're in a bad position. And another thing with Jay, I feel like if you are so kind of insecure about that, I'm just curious why he would choose a job in entertainment. why would he go that route? Why wouldn't he pick something more, consistent, if that's such a great insecurity for him? So, I don't know. Dr. Nicole made a good point. People try to get over things, but sometimes you have to go through them. You have to feel it. You have to deal with those things so you can break through it, and you're not going to let it not letting the past and your own experiences as a child determine what your present is, right? Because he seems to have a wonderful partner in LaRonda, right? But if he stays stuck and so fixated in the past, he's going to ruin a good thing in the present. He's kind of creating a problem that's not really there, So I think he'll move forward. Like Dr. Nicole says, he's not as far as he thinks in his head. And I think the same thing too, because they seem to have a really great relationship with each other. And she seems to be very supportive of him, LaRonda. So I think they can come through this and be stronger for it. So it's time for Lexia's day, and out of all the people on the show, I really think she needs this the most. When she said she was 34, I was kind of surprised. It's not that she looks old, right? I do think she looks quote-unquote younger, or at least her age, but her energy comes off as more mature. Like, I thought she was in her 40s, if I'm gonna be real with you. Right? Especially when you hear that her and Darien have been in a relationship for 14 years. I don't know why in my head I'm thinking she's in her late 30s to early 40s, but she's only 34. And her telling a bit of her story on her date with Chris, we find out that she's been with Darien since she was, 17, 18. So she's been with this guy at a fairly young age. So when I hear her being with this man for 14 years, it sounds kind of crazy to me. But now hearing that she's been with him since she was super young, it now makes a lot more sense. Like, Darien is probably her first serious boyfriend at that age, and Darien is pretty much all she knows. So a part of me is wondering if she's a little bit scared to let go of him, in a way. Not to say that they don't get along or they don't have a connection, but if you want more of a commitment and someone isn't doing that for you, it doesn't matter how much you get along with them or how much you like them and da-da-da-da-da. If that's not what you want, then why are you with them for that long? So to me, there seems to be a little bit of fear and a little bit of not necessarily knowing better, not knowing anything else. So that's why out of all the people on the show, I really think she needs this the most, to show her that there are other people out there. There are other options. You can make that connection, right? There are other people who want to make that connection with you. She does seem confident, but she seems a little bit kind of, not reserved, but standoffish. There is a wall up. So hopefully this process actually would be really good for her. Because I'm not to say Darien is a bad person and that they don't have a connection, but it just seems like he's keeping her around because he's comfortable with her. And actually, I'm curious about his age, because he does look a little bit older than her. I mean, they could be around the same age, but he is coming off a little bit older. And I wonder if it's a bit of a thing of, because he was with her when she was so young, it's like he has a certain control over her, right? Where he kind of wants to keep her around because he has that control over her, but she's not necessarily the one. It could be anybody in that position. So I hope Alexia, I hope she finds better, if I'm going to be completely honest. Because like I said, not saying that Darien is a bad person and she's a good person. It's not black and white. I'm pretty sure they both have their issues in the relationship, but they just want different things. And Alexa deserves to get what she wants in life, you know, or at least pursue what she wants, right? Because we're not guaranteed anything, but she at least has the right to pursue that. So LaRonda goes on her date with Mr. Peace and Blessings, okay? And it seems like a fun date, you know? They're throwing grapes across the room, trying to catch it in each other's mouth, and it seems like a fun date, right? And LaRonda looks absolutely gorgeous. She's stunning. However, Jay, he's having a real hard time with LaRonda going out on this date, you know. He's working out, he's doing push-ups, chin-ups, all of these things to try and distract him, but he's really getting emotional about this because he's worried about, you know, what if LaRonda makes a connection with this guy and she doesn't want to be with him anymore. And this is what I have to say, right? This is the second season of the show. This isn't the first season. This is the second season, right? So you know what the setup is. You know what you're getting yourself into. And I guess giving him the benefit of the doubt, you never really know what you're going to feel or how you're going to react to certain things until you're in the situation. But I just don't understand, especially if you're someone that gets kind of really jealous, why you would go on a show like this. You know this is going to happen, so you should be a little bit more emotionally prepared. But like I said, I guess you never know what you're going to get yourself into until you're in that situation. And I guess on one hand you can say, wow, he really cares about her to be so upset emotionally about her going on this date. But I do feel like on the other hand, I feel like a lot of it or a little bit of it is his own insecurity, right? Because he doesn't feel like a man because he maybe isn't able to provide that financial security for her like he thinks he should, right? So I think that's why he feels a little bit more threatened by another man. But I mean, the other guy she's going on a date with is also an entertainer. He's a songwriter, right? So it's kind of, he's in the same field. It's that same, you know, instability, right? But I think a songwriter, if you do write a couple of hits, you're kind of good. They could make good money. If you write a hit, you're getting the royalties for that song for a long time. So I mean, it's a little bit different than being a comedian, I would have to say. But I don't think Jay has anything to worry about. Yes, I do think LaRonda had fun on her date and she's enjoying it, but I don't really think she was feeling him like that. So Jay needs to relax a little bit. So the couples meet up with Dr. Nicole to talk about their dates, right? We learned that Jay was having a real hard time with LaRonda going on her date to the point where he was throwing up. And why are you on the show? Why are you on the show? You know what the show is. Why are you on the show? He's probably on the show because he's in entertainment and he knows that this show would probably be a great opportunity to get his name out there. But I don't know, with Jay, I feel like this is not the right environment. You probably should be in therapy first to kind of deal with the issues that you have, because like he said, he has experienced a lot of trauma and it feels like there's a lot of things that he's not telling the audience that we may find out later on or not. That's perfectly fine because it's none of our business. So I don't feel like you have to say or tell us everything that has happened to you. But clearly there is a lot there, and I don't know if being on this show is the healthiest place for him. Now, he seems to be making strides, right? He seems to be working through things, which is good. But the thing with reality television, it's really messy, right? Because on one hand, they say, yes, we want to help these couples, quote unquote. But at the end of the day, we know what this is about. This is about entertainment, right? Because we see the preview for next episode where they're going to, both couples are, I mean, not both couples, but both people in the coupleship are going to go on a date at the same time with other people at the same location, right? So that's just really messy. I don't know how this is helping couples to come together and get married, going on a date at the same place. Like, that is purely for entertainment purposes. Now, I'm here for it. I can't wait. It's going to be a good episode, but it's messy. And if Jay is throwing up, okay, when LaRonda is going on her date and he's not even there, what is he gonna do when they're in the same vicinity? And it does put LaRonda in an uncomfortable position, because if she does like somebody, right, and she does want to go on another date with them, because she did seem like she wanted to go on another date with Mr. Peace and Blessings, but if it's going to make her partner literally sick, then it's kind of like, what options does she have? She has to make that decision based on protecting her partner. And I feel like she won't really be able to focus on herself and her journey, because she's going to have to be catering to him and making sure that he's not losing it. So I just don't think emotionally he's in a space where he could do something like this. Maybe if he got therapy, worked on some of the things that he needed to work on, and then came on a show like this, it could work. But I feel like it's just way too raw for him. And I am starting to see some of the issues that they have, because when you look at the first episode, they look like, well, this perfect couple. What is the issue? They seem to care for each other greatly, but it's very clear now by the end of this that Jay has a lot of trust issues. He has a lot of fear, and it is really dictating and overtaking the relationship. So in one way, I guess it's good for LaRonda to see what it is now when they are really tested. You can kind of see the breakdown, versus you get married and then something happens and it's kind of not too late, but it's going to be a lot more difficult to kind of get out of that situation. Because Jay seems to be kind of really jealous, and he needs to work on that. And I'm still rooting for them. I am, but this show, I don't really think it's designed to really help the couples. I think that comes second, and what comes first is entertainment. So I hope they don't kind of pull these sort of stunts and Jay gets real out of pocket or real out of character, because it's going to be hard for him to come back from that. That's all I'm saying. So Alexa and Darien, I did Google, I don't know if this is correct, but Darien is 41 and she's 34. So there is an age difference, like 6-7 years. It's not a huge age difference, but if they met each other when she was, I swear she said 17, but for legal purposes we're going to say she said 18, 19 instead of 17, 18. But even then, 18, 19, so he must have been, let's do math, I can't, like 24, 25, you know? Not that much older, but still older enough where at that age you probably have had a certain amount of experiences, especially if he was famous. If you're in the spotlight, I wouldn't say you mature faster, but you definitely potentially have been through a lot more experiences, right? With the opposite sex, where she was still pretty young. So I do feel like there could potentially be an imbalance of power. And she did mention in the group that she always felt like he would never listen to her, he would overtalk her. And Dr. Nicole says, do you kind of communicate to get attention and to be seen, or are you actually listening to your partner and getting their input? And Alexa was saying, well, she would listen to try and understand him, but she wouldn't get that same thing back. So I hate to kind of say this, right? But it does sort of, like I said before, fall into that sort of control thing when you get someone that is younger and I don't want to use the word groom, but yes, you kind of groom them to be what you want. And at the time, he was more famous, right? And probably had more money than her. So that could be used to sort of groom and control somebody, especially when they're younger and they don't have that experience, right? They don't know any better, so you can kind of, get them to do what you want, or tell them this is how things goes, this is the way it is, and they will put up with a lot more than, say, someone that is of the same age, that has been through more things. They kind of know what's healthy and what's not healthy, right? I hope I'm wrong, but we'll just keep watching this season. And oh yes, so Alexa says she wasn't gonna go on another date with the guy, which makes sense because they didn't really seem like they connected anyways. And moving on is Jessica and Eric, right? And Jessica says that she's not gonna go on another date with Random or Wandon or whatever his name was, because she felt it was a red flag that he was 32 years old and never been in a relationship or never been in love, right? And as I said before, I do respect that if you're not ready to be in a relationship, that you're not just lying and doing it because that's what society expects of you to do. You're being honest in the way that you're moving, right? So on one hand, I do respect that. On another hand, I can't deny that you do learn certain things being in a relationship, right? Even if that relationship doesn't work out, you do learn certain things that you can take into your next relationship. There's certain lessons. And my concern and the reasons why it would be a red flag, if you have not been through that, will you be able to handle being in a relationship? I mean, with a guy, they can keep dating, in their 60s, and they have a lot of time. But for a woman, especially if you want to have children, there is sort of like a time period, right? So if that's what Jessica wants, I don't really think she has the time to kind of try and make it work with someone who really hasn't had certain experiences, And listen, I could be totally wrong. He could be a great guy for all we know, but it is sort of like, I'm not too sure about that, and I get that. So, next episode seems like it's going to be really, really, really interesting. It's definitely a setup, so